Good morning. Um, yeah, so the reason, I when I first realized that I was being weirdly reactive with my kids, um, and I needed therapy, and I went to therapy, and the first therapist I had did basically cognitive behavioral therapy. So it's like, well, when this happens, instead of doing this, do that. Oh, well, who could have imagined that? Or, when this happens, instead of having this thought, have this other thought. And it didn't sit right with me. It didn't feel sustainable, and it didn't feel it felt coercive, and it felt like I'm going to be swimming against a tide for the rest of my life. It's like I don't want to keep or a current, say. I don't want to keep swimming against a current for the rest of my life. I want to either stop the current or learn to flow with the current properly. And it was just I couldn't have said this in words. It was total instinct. Um, and part of it is and I'm kind of lazy. Like it's hard for me to practice something I don't enjoy. You can call that lazy. You can call that knowing yourself. You can call that principles. It's like I'm not going to do what you tell me to do. I'm not even going to do what my mind tells me to do. I'm going to find out where the sustainable spring of joy is. And one example is I could never practice piano for one teacher because I didn't respect her. I didn't like her. And I didn't like the songs she was making me sing. They were like annoying and childish. So week after week, I just didn't practice and felt like horrible because in our Protestant, capitalist, Calvinist society, there's nothing worse than being lazy, right? Um, I couldn't make myself do it. I just couldn't. And then later on, I had a new teacher and I respected him more. And he told me about a piece. He just mentioned it. He was like, well, you're not going to do that one. That one's like almost nobody can play it. And I was like, game on. It was like, all right, I take the challenge. And then I spent like a year practicing the third movement to the Moonlight Sonata without having to make myself because it was like, it was my own project. I mean, but it was partly ego, I'm sure. But it was also the joy of it. It was also like, this is real music. This isn't some little do 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 do. It's like it's like oh, like even the. And by the way, when I see other pianists play this music without the fury, I'm like, you're wasting your time, dude. Like there's anger in this music. Like there's um I don't know, there's a way to play it that plays the hell out of it, and there's a way to play it that just plays it, hits the notes. Anyway, um yeah, point being, I didn't like I didn't want to keep sort of swimming against the tide for the rest of my life. Um Forcing myself to do things I didn't really want to do, didn't really believe in. It's like, what do I really believe in? And again, I couldn't have put that into words. It was just a contraction, just to like, I don't want to do that. Similar to the feeling of not wanting to chase a prestigious career. It was just like I saw what that did to people, and I saw how they could define themselves by it to an extent that it mattered more than their happiness, more than their principles, more than the planet, more than people who would end up getting killed. Speaking of like political climbers, um, I was a college student right during and after 9/11, and I saw everyone in the Stanford political science department like scrambling to get on the right coattails, even if those coattails were going to kill a million people for no reason. I physically cannot do that kind of thing. Um, I can't. I like to think I'm allergic to bullshit more than most people. Um, Others might call it laziness, whatever. Um, but yeah, it's like the further I go into the non-dual path, the more I don't need any cognitive tricks. It's things start to happen naturally. I start to, well, sometimes I naturally eat better. Other times things get intense and maybe there's a backlash and maybe I eat, like crap for a while. It's fine. Hey, Pokemon. What's up, buddy? You look very cute. What you doing? I mean, what's this? I'll put your little tiny Pokemon. Yeah, that's cute. Cute, cute. Pokemon, everybody. Um, yeah, so backlash, eating like crap. That happens sometimes, and it's just like, okay, that's happening. It's like there's no big, oh my God, why am I, like it's just like there's some coping going on. It'll pass, you know. Um, it's just like I don't feel like I'm constantly fighting reality or myself, less and less. And yeah, I don't know. I'm always somebody who wants to get to the root of things, not stay on the surface, but get to the root. And it's like, how do I know I'm at the root? I don't know. It's just energetic sense of things. Could be completely wrong. The whole non-dual thing could be a cul-de-sac um, of some kind. I don't really know. All I know is it feels. I make that face because plenty of people feel their cult is where they feel most at home. Um, the non-dual thing doesn't have as much. I mean, there's certain teachers who might be culty, but my primary teacher, Angelo DeLulo, doesn't have any of the red flags of a cult. He's like, take it or leave it, you know. There's no coercion, there's no isolation, et cetera, et cetera. But who knows, like red flag uh, heuristics might not capture every harmful situation. But I mean, let's think, how do I know how to live? How does anyone know how to live? You get quiet and you tune in, or you stay up here swimming furiously for your entire life. Um, I could not do the swimming furiously. I am too lazy for that, or too principled. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. It feels good, by the way, to finally own this about myself because it really was painful to feel like an undisciplined person, given that, I was defined by my grades and my earnings potential in this society. Um, my grades are always good, but that's because school was easy. Or in high school, I had fun. In the Oklahoma School of Science and Math, really enjoyed what I learned there. Stanford, my grades weren't so good because I didn't enjoy a lot of those classes very much. didn't care. Or in one case, the opening night of a musical that I was assistant stage manager for was the same night as the midterm. I don't even know how I passed that class. No idea. Because of course I didn't miss the opening night. Um, I had fun in college. I could finally was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do what I enjoy and don't really care what happens. Um, yeah, the classes I didn't do so well in were the ones that were like mandatory, so some of those professors didn't try very hard, even if the subject matter was fascinating. But yeah, as for Vipassana, I rejected that for two reasons. One, the main one was that one of the videos toward the end of the 10-day retreat, Galenka was like, this is the only way to enlightenment. Don't waste your time with anything else. This is it. Here you go. Um, that's culty and arrogant and stupid, in my opinion. Um, up until then, I'd been largely on board with what he was saying, but any hint of like coercion or ego in the teacher, and it's like, mm, I'm kind of over it. Oh my gosh, what is that? What came into my room? What? That was so scary. And the other was how many people I saw in the Vipassana retreats who um, just kept doing it and doing it and doing it, and really had nothing much to report other than occasional like, oh, this experience happened to me one time, and it's like, okay, you had an experience, cool, like, um, and then I spoke to one of the people who was supposedly the teacher or the assistant teacher, whatever. Um, I asked him, well, what happens when you get through all of your samskaras? And he just laughed. He's like, maybe in 1,000 lifetimes you can ask that question. And I was like, I mean, it is possible, and of course, that it will take lifetimes. I don't know. But his complete abdication of anything happening in this life felt cowardly. It's like, no, we're just going to kick the can down the road forever. So it was a great experience. I'm really glad I did it. It's valuable to have 10 days of silence if you can swing it. A lot was unearthed. A lot was I learned to tune into my body better than ever before. I mourned, deeply, deeply mourned some things that uh, I needed to mourn to move on. um, and yeah, like I say, at any time, some kind of mindfulness practice, even some kind of cognitive. I mean, for some people, the best they can do in this lifetime, apparently, is make the dream more bearable, less cruel, less unpleasant. Um, and so, in those cases, cognitive things can help. Um, some people, all they want to do is have a cool identity as a hardcore Vipassana person who's apparently, I don't know, I don't know what they think about what they're doing, but in that case, go for it. Like it's fine. But something in me knew, like, I don't just want to refine my identity. I don't just want to have experiences. I don't just want to be disciplined so that I can tell myself I'm not lazy. I don't want to tread water in the dream. I wasn't thinking in terms of a dream, but it was just like I say, just very energetic, just instinctive, just like this isn't it. I don't know what it is, but this isn't it. And it's such a relief to be, I was going to say to be home before I'm home. Maybe that's a better way than saying die before I die. It's like, do I absolutely know what's going on or if I'm doing the right thing? No, of course I don't. But there's less and less. For now, could change. This could end up being a stepping stone to God knows what's next, you know? I mean, in a way, like totally accepting everything exactly as it is seems like a dead end in a way. Like, where do you go from there? Maybe something like, like somebody said about writing a novel, um, you can drive all the way across the country, only seeing as far as your headlights can can illuminate. And so I can only live this life. I mean, I can live you can live a whole life. You kind of have to, only seeing as far as your intuition can illuminate. So the mystery continues and gets more pleasant and easeful by degrees. Can't argue with that.